Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Totally. And nowadays, it seems like every other ad is promising to unlock your hidden genius.
It's true. You see it everywhere.
And the latest one making the rounds, a 7-minute sound wave that can supposedly tap into your inner Einstein.
The Genius Wave program, right?
That's the one. Created by some Dr. James Rivers. He claims it can activate, like, dormant brain power.
Yeah, I saw that.
But before we all go rushing to buy this miracle sound wave, we gotta ask.
What's the real deal here?
Exactly.
Yeah, because the thing is, this whole idea that we're born geniuses and then somehow lose it is a pretty common theme in these programs.
Yeah, and Rivers even backs it up with this supposed NASA study.
Right, where 98% of kids are like little Einsteins.
And then as adults, only like 2%. It's like, come on.
It's a bit of a stretch. To be honest, I tried looking for that NASA study, and let's just say it's suspiciously absent from any reputable scientific journals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't find anything concrete.
Interesting.
It's like a common tactic, though, right?
Ah.
Name drop something science-y to sound more credible.
I see. So maybe not the most reliable source, but let's say for a second there is some truth to this whole creativity decline. Rivers then points to theta brainwaves as the culprit. He claims they get suppressed with age.
Right, and this magical sound wave is supposed to reactivate them.
So what's the deal with these theta waves? Are they just a made-up thing?
No, theta waves are definitely real. They're a type of brainwave that's most active when we're in a relaxed state. So, like when you're drifting off to sleep.
Okay.
Or, and this is interesting, when you're super engrossed in something, like reading a good book, those aha moments when something just clicks.
Interesting. So there's actually something to them being linked to creativity then.
Well, there's definitely a connection, but it's not quite as simple as more theta equals more genius, unfortunately.
So it's more complicated than that.
Way more complicated.
So no shortcuts to becoming Mozart by just listening to a certain frequency.
Not quite, no. See, our brains are incredibly complex. Creativity, especially, comes from the interplay of different brain regions and neurochemicals.
Yeah.
It's not just about one thing being switched on.
So it's not like adjusting the bass on a stereo.
Haha, I wish. But it does bring us to Rivers' next big claim, brain wave entrainment. Basically, the idea that external rhythms can actually influence our brainwaves.
Hold on, are you saying our brains can sync up with sounds?
Exactly. Think about it. When you hear an upbeat song, you tap your foot, maybe you feel like dancing.
Yeah.
That's your brainwaves syncing up to the rhythm.
Wow, so you're saying it's like our brains are just bobbing along to whatever they hear.
In a way, yeah. And brainwave entrainment suggests that if we listen to specific frequencies, our brains might follow along, shifting into different states.
So there might be something to this brainwave thing, but like if it were that simple, wouldn't we all be listening to our weighted genius?
Right. We'd all have Nobel Prizes by now, wouldn't we? The reality is it's a lot more nuanced than that. It's definitely not as easy as just popping in some headphones and becoming a genius overnight.
So what's the real scoop on brainwave entrainment? Can sound actually mess with our brainwaves?
Well, researchers have been looking into this for decades. And there's definitely evidence that external rhythms, like certain sound frequencies, can have an effect on our brain activity.
Okay, so how does that even work?
It's kind of like, well, think about how you feel when you listen to different types of music. Upbeat music can make you feel more alert and energized, right?
Yeah, totally.
But then calming nature sounds might help you relax.
Right.
That's basically your brainwaves syncing up with the rhythm.
Wow, that's wild. So you're saying our brains are kind of like those little bobbleheads in cars, just nodding along to whatever they hear?
Uh-huh. Yeah, in a way. But instead of bobbing their heads, our brains adjust their electrical patterns. And studies on brainwave entrainment specifically suggest it might help with things like focus, relaxation, even sleep.
Interesting. So there's potential there, but it's not like this magic switch that instantly makes you a genius, right?
Exactly. It's not like suddenly you can solve complex equations just by listening to a specific frequency. It's more like, imagine you're trying to push open a really heavy door.
Yeah.
Brainwave entrainment might give you that extra little nudge, but it's not going to swing the door wide open on its own. You still need to put in the effort of pushing.
That makes sense. So what about all those claims Rivers makes about theta waves unlocking hidden potential, even influencing other people? Like, come on.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's where things get a little too out there for me. While theta waves are definitely associated with relaxation and creativity, there's absolutely no scientific basis to say they give you superpowers.
So no telekinesis by sound wave.
Not quite. Maybe someday, but for now, it's still science fiction. And that's really important to remember with these kinds of programs. always approach them with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right, because it does sound a little too good to be true.
Exactly. And when something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
True, true. So if this genius wave thing isn't the magic solution it claims to be, what can we actually do to, like, I don't know, tap into our potential, boost creativity, feel a little sharper?
Well, I think you're already on the right track just by asking that question. It shows you're curious and eager to learn, and honestly, that curiosity is one of the most powerful tools we have.
So just being curious is like a superpower in itself.
You could say that. Curiosity fuels our learning, drives our creativity, keeps our mind sharp. But beyond that, there are some concrete practices backed by science that can really impact our cognitive abilities.
Yeah, no, for real, curiosity is awesome. But I also like the idea of having some more, concrete strategies for boosting brain power. What else you got?
Well, since we're talking about brains, one thing that comes up constantly is mindfulness. And before you say anything, I'm not talking about chanting on a mountaintop or anything.
Good, haha. Because honestly, meditation and me, we don't exactly vibe.
Totally get it. But seriously, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It's more about just taking a few minutes, closing your eyes, and paying attention to your breath. Just noticing your thoughts without judgment.
Huh. Okay. So just chilling out for a bit can actually make me sharper.
Exactly. Studies show that even a little bit of mindfulness each day can work wonders, like better focus, improved memory, even better emotional control.
Oh, wow. Okay. I could definitely use a little more zen and brain power in my life. What else helps?
Well, while we're on the topic of giving your brain a break, we got to talk about sleep.
Ugh, sleep. The ultimate productivity killer, right?
You'd think. But the thing is, sleep is absolutely crucial. It's like hitting the reset button on your brain. It consolidates memories, clears out toxins, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so sleep is important. I get it. Mindfulness, sleep. Anything else?
Have you ever heard of spaced repetition?
Spaced repetition. Rings a bell, but refresh my memory.
Basically, it's a learning technique that plays on how our brains naturally forget stuff. You revisit information at longer and longer intervals, and that repetition makes the memory stick.
So, like, instead of cramming for a test the night before, I'm better off spreading out my study session.
Exactly. It feels weird, right? But trust me, spacing out your learning is way more effective over time.
Huh. Interesting. So it sounds like the big takeaway here is that there's no magic bullet for getting smarter. It's more about building healthy habits and working with our brains, not against them.
100%. It's not about some external fix, but about supporting your brain's natural awesomeness.
Well said. And, as we wrap up our deep dive into this Genius Wave program, I'm thinking about what you said earlier, that curiosity thing. That really stuck with me. It's like, maybe the real key to unlocking our potential isn't about finding a shortcut, but about cultivating that sense of wonder and being open to new experiences.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about embracing who you are, nurturing that curiosity, and approaching life as this incredible learning journey. Who knows what you might discover?
I love that. On that note, huge thanks to our expert for, being an expert and walking us through all this brain stuff. And to you, dear listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, keep those beautiful brains of yours curious, engaged, and always, always exploring. Until next time, stay awesome.
Yeah.